Hey everyone, welcome to WittCode, where in this video we're going to learn how to create a TypeScript app. So before we begin, let's go over what TypeScript is. So TypeScript is a programming language that adds static typing to JavaScript. This makes it easier to work with large JavaScript projects as errors are caught early. TypeScript also describes data, making it difficult to pass around unexpected data, such as passing a number to a function that accepts a string, and things like that. Ultimately, TypeScript code, or files ending in .ts, is transpiled into JavaScript code, or files ending in .js, by a TypeScript compiler. So let's start building this project. And to begin, we're going to initialize it as an ES6 npm project with the command npm init ES6-y. This creates a package.json file with the type set to module. This means we can use the more modern ECMA script, import, and export. Now let's install TypeScript and Node types. So TypeScript is simply an npm package called TypeScript, so we can install it with npmi TypeScript-d, and this is because TypeScript is used for development and not production. TypeScript simply points out errors early on. The TypeScript code still needs to be converted to JavaScript before it's ran. However, to get the benefits of TypeScript, we also need to install npm packages from the @type scope, so packages that have the scope @types. These packages contain TypeScript declaration files, or files with a .d.ts extension, that inform the TypeScript compiler about all the typing information for the specific library. For example, @types-express provides TypeScript type information for the express library, and @types-node provides type information for Node. In this project, we'll only be working with the core Node libraries, so we'll install @types.node as a development dependency. So we've got some good things installed. Now let's configure TypeScript. And to do that, we need to create a tsconfig.json file, which we can do with npx tsc-init. And so this command npx right here is an npm package runner that allows us to run executable JavaScript packages without installing them. TSC here stands for the TypeScript compiler, and it allows us to work with the TypeScript compiler. Using these together with this --init creates a tsconfig.json file, which is a configuration file for the TypeScript compiler. When looking at the contents of this tsconfig.json file, we can see most of it is commented out, and uncommenting a certain line will enable that functionality. Some examples of configuration options are, say we use outdir right here, which is the output directory that TypeScript will put its transpiled JavaScript files to. So if we set this to dist, it'll place all our JavaScript files in a folder called dist when we transpile it with the TypeScript compiler. Now, before we go any further, let's also create a source folder to hold our source code. This is going to hold our TypeScript source code. So what we need to do is let the TypeScript compiler know where this code is. And we can do that with the include key and specify it as source --***. And this line here tells TypeScript compiler to compile every TypeScript file inside the source directory and its subdirectories. And we can also use this tsconfig file to tell the TypeScript compiler what to ignore with the exclude key. We want to exclude node modules and our dist folder. Note that this exclude key is also relative to the include key. However, just out of tradition, I guess you could say, I always include node modules and dist here. Also, as we specified our project is using ECMA script, we need to set the module key in here, so module right here, to node next. Specifically, we can't have it as common JS, so node next. And so this module key right here sets the module system for the transpiled JavaScript files. So basically whether they use ECMA script import and export or common JS module.exports and require. Setting it to node next allows us to use either import-export or module.exports and require, which is handy to have both. Specifically for us, we're going to be working with import and export because inside package.json, we sent the type to be module. But now our configuration is done, so let's add some TypeScript code. We're just going to create a file in here, call it index.ts, and let's just add in some simple TypeScript code. So we have a function called sayHello that takes a name that needs to be a string. And we'll have some TypeScript error checking, so if we try and put a number in here with an underline saying our unit type number is not assignable to string, and that's just one of the many benefits of using TypeScript. But now that we have this, let's compile our TypeScript code into JavaScript by running npx tsc. And now we can see our dist folder with our index.js file, which is simply the transpiled version of this file here. We can see the string for name has been stripped, as that's used in TypeScript and not JavaScript. But back to this command here, if we don't provide any arguments to npx tsc, then the TypeScript compiler searches for a tsconfig.json file. In other words, running this command here, the TypeScript compiler will run with the configuration we supplied in our tsconfig.json file. But so now we've done all our TypeScript stuff, let's just create some scripts inside our package.json file that will make working with TypeScript easier. And the first one is going to be a clean function, or a clean script like this, that is going to get rid of our distribution folder. So now if we run npm run clean, we can see our dist folder is removed. This command will actually have to be different on Windows operating systems. I believe the command is something like rmdir, but just note that it'll be different if you're on Windows. But now let's add a build command that builds our project, or a build script. We're just going to call it build, and it'll run our clean command, and then after that's completed, it will run our TypeScript compiler. So now if we run npm run build, we will get a new clean dist folder. But so this creates a dist folder for when we basically want to put our code out into the world or distribute it, but we also want a command to run our project in development. And we can do this with the libraries nodemon and also tsnode. And we want to install those as development dependencies as well. So right here, this tsnode library provides TypeScript execution and eCMA script support. Nodemon is a library that automatically restarts the node applications when files are changed, and we can combine these to make development of a TypeScript application much easier. So inside here, if we add a start script, we use nodemon and we pass it the exec flag, which allows nodemon to monitor other programs. Specifically, we're monitoring Node as it runs our TypeScript files. And the way we can have Node run our TypeScript files is by providing it the tsnode as a loader. Specifically, this tells Node to load modules with tsnode and eCMA script, and also run this against our entry point or index.ts file. But now let's just see this works. So all we have to do is press npm start, and we get hello WittCode. Now let's see if we get our live reloading. So say WittCode is cool. We press save. We get hello WittCode is cool. So we can see how it's running automatically as whenever we make changes. And then real quick, let's also just double check our import is all set up correctly. So let's make a cheese.ts file. Let's just export a default array. It says cheese and Swiss. Let's import it inside our index file. Note that because we're using eCMA script, we have to add the extension of .js. If we're using some kind of module bundler like Webpack, we won't have to do that, but we're not using that here. And now let's just log out this cheese array, and we get it logged out. So we can see how our imports are working correctly. Let's also run build script with this, and we can see our new dist folder here with cheese, and it looks like it's all working. Sweet. But so that's all it takes to create a TypeScript app. If you have any questions, leave them for me in the comments. I'll try and get back to you. If you want to support me, please consider downloading my Chrome extension from the Chrome web store called WittScepter, link in the description. And besides that, thank you for liking and subscribing today, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a good one.